Walaikum salam.
I have one question. So some brothers have a plan to travel, and then as we know, a traveler is permissible not to fast. If let's say he decides not to fast, when can he start eating? Is it in the origin, before he leaves, or until he reaches certain distance that will consider him as a traveler?
Okay. Bismillah walhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. This question is very important. It's about when a person can be considered as a musafir or traveler. Just from the niyyah that he will make traveling to some place, or after reaching to a certain place, after leaving his home or his house. Actually, a person, according to the majority of the scholars of Islam, a person cannot be considered as a musafir unless he leaves his house and leaves his border of his residence place. After leaving that, he will be considered as a traveler, and from that time he can start getting the rukhsah of eating. For example, if he is in Ramadan and have no intention to fast during his traveling, he has to wait until leaving his house, his home, and also leaving the border of his residence place. After leaving that, he will be considered as a musafir. So now, for example, if he want to eat, he can eat. He can also get the rules of the traveler person. I mean, for example, for salat, he can get the ruling of musafir by making qasr for Salatul Dhuhr, Salatul Asr, Salatul Isha. He will pray all of them like 2 rak'ah, 2 rak'ah, 2 rak'ah. Also, he can combine between Salatul Dhuhr, Salatul Asr, Salatul Maghrib, and Salatul Isha. So he cannot be considered as a musafir until leaving his border of his residence place. There is another opinion, but as I said, the opinion I mentioned is the opinion of the majority of the scholars of Islam, but there is another opinion that he can be considered as a musafir just from the niyyah, when he have niyyah to travel. So from that time, he will be considered as a musafir, and all the rules of musafir will be applying for him. And this opinion referring to the Anas ibn Malik radiallahu anhu, they said Anas ibn Malik radiallahu anhu, he used to do that when he intended to travel. Even before leaving his border, he used to start applying for the traveler rules. So this opinion referring to the action of Anas ibn Malik radiallahu anhu. But the majority of the scholars, the majority of the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, they didn't consider that. So it's only done by Anas ibn Malik radiallahu anhu. Similar to it, when we talked before about the pregnant and the breastfeeding woman, the majority of the scholars, as we mentioned before, said she has to pick up what she missed in Ramadan. But only Abdullah ibn Abbas and Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma, they allowed the pregnant and the breastfeeding woman not to fast and just to feed for every day one person, to give fidya or ransom for each day they cannot fast in Ramadan. But this also just for those two Sahaba, Abdullah ibn Umar and Abdullah ibn Abbas. But the other Sahaba, the majority of the Sahaba, they didn't accept that. And also the majority of the scholars, they don't accept that. So sometimes one Sahabi or two Sahaba or few Sahaba, they have some opinion, but it's not agreed by the majority of the Sahaba and the majority of the scholars. So to be safe, just to follow the majority of the scholars and the majority of Sahaba. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam.